Hello and welcome to the Too Close for Podcast. I guess that's what we're calling it for the time being. It's the unofficial Too Close for Comfort podcast because there was an overwhelming demand for it.
There really was.
Yeah.
There was, yes.
We're the GMR podcast. I'm Marty Catola.
And I'm Gene Mott.
And this is our first side podcast. It's going to be an 130 episode series, one for every episode of Too Close for Comfort, because, well, it just needed to happen. Remember before the Iron Man movie came out and everybody was like, oh, Iron Man, that's one of those B tier characters. Then that movie comes out and everybody's loving Iron Man. Well, after recently rediscovering this program on Antenna TV, you can watch it there, and nowhere else, actually, for the time being.
Well, you can buy them, can't you?
Well, that's a whole other matter. But anyways, I want this podcast to put Too Close for Comfort up there with all those other classic sitcoms, because I don't think anybody out there says, that's my favorite old school 80s sitcom. They're always thinking of a Three's Company or a Cheers, and I want this podcast to do what the Iron Man movie did for Iron Man, to put Too Close for Comfort up there at the forefront of people's minds, to have it be back on Antenna TV 4 times a day. So if they do a new Too Close for Comfort series, I'm going to say I feel like we helped that happen. And maybe, just maybe, had something to do with it, because after analyzing all 129 episodes, plus one bonus wrap-up show you got to do,
at that point,
we'll be masters.
We're going to write the movie.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Right? We're going to be writers and producers, and then we'll go to we'll go to the people who really appreciate the Too Close for Comfort.
Exactly.
And they'll help us produce this movie.
At the very least. GMR podcast, that's still going to happen here and there. To stay tuned to this channel. Who knows what other kind of new and interesting podcast programming we'll throw at you, We're having fun with it. It's a new year. So we just watched the pilot episode 101 from November...
We're calling it 101?
Yeah, from November 11th, 1980.
Ooh.
Just the tail end of 1980, so not quite at the beginning of the new season that year, because the new season back then was in the fall, and the show started, September, usually, something like that, the new fall season. So this one, almost a mid-season replacement, you could call it. Usually a mid-season replacement doesn't survive, but this one... They plotted it right. What was that Tuesday night block? It was Happy Days, Laverne and Shirley, Three's Company, and then Too Close for Comfort. I might have the order wrong, but I know it was those 4 shows as a block.
That sounds like I was definitely watching that channel that night.
ABC, yeah.
Because those were my favorite shows.
Oh,
you had Happy Days, Laverne and Shirley, Three's Company.
Yeah, everybody watched those shows. I mean, what was even on up against them? Who knows? Because we weren't watching those channels. Didn't have cable yet. And it looks like Too Close for Comfort was just riding off of the coattails of the other popular shows and gained an audience.
Well, it was all the same producers who put it together. You got Brian Cook and... Sultan.
The guy who created Three's Company.
No, Barrett. Is it Barrett?
I think so. And both of those shows are remakes of British programming, right? And so is The Ropers, strangely enough. They show them the credits based on the program, and then they put the name of the show. I know Keep It in the Family is what Too Close for Comfort is called in England. But that only ran 35 episodes.
Oh, we should watch some of those.
Yeah, see if we can try to find it. Maybe there are 1 or 2's on YouTube or something.
You would think somebody out there would have put that.
So this is the pilot episode, and like most pilot episodes, it's kind of like episode 0. Not really the first episode of the show, because pilots are usually shot a few months before, see if anybody likes it, then they get to go into production on the rest of it. And this one's basically about Jackie and Sarah moving downstairs, setting up the program. If you don't know what the show is and you're just listening to this, what is the premise of the show?
The guy who, Mr. Rush and his wife, Henry Rush and his wife, lived together with their two adult daughters in a one-bedroom apartment. Two-bedroom apartment with one bath.
Mm-hmm.
And they rent the lower downstairs to Rafkin. What's his first name?
I forget what Rafkin's first name is, but Mr. Rafkin lived downstairs and then he died. And the first episode starts with Henry's getting up to go to the funeral.
They have to get up early to go to the funeral.
This is where we have our very first bizarre happening. Right off the bat, we get this alarm clock that won't shut off. They do that old gag. And then that ends up being thrown out the window. The first of many, many objects to come that will be going in and out of the windows. A popular gag with the program.
Clearly, the alarm clock says 4:35 in the morning.
And yet it's bright and sunny out.
Yet the sun is out. And then soon after that, they get a phone call from one of Sarah's boyfriends, or
Yes.
Jackie's boyfriends.
The first of many one-sided phone conversations. Somebody picking up the phone, talking to somebody on the other end, whose voice we never hear, and we never see a cutaway shot to that person.
That'd be expensive, a cutaway shot.
It would be.
These people have nothing to do with the show. We rarely even see any of these girls' boyfriends in any of these shows.
Mm-hmm. So he's having to get up early to go to Rafkin's funeral. And turns out Rafkin was a transvestite. So automatically this show was like, what? 1980 and we got a transvestite storyline on ABC primetime television? That's it's pretty progressive, I would say, for the time period.
He's been living down there for 8 years. And they never realized he was a transvestite. Mr. Rush is holding the door open for him. He didn't realize it. He looked at the picture of Rafkin in drag. Took him like 3 seconds to realize, oh, that's Rafkin. When he's seeing him, how many times must he have seen him in drag over those 8 years?
Oh, almost probably daily. And just never paid attention.
Because he's all over the place. I mean, Rush is always constantly running around the house. And they shared the front door.
And so now that Rafkin has passed on, they need to rent the apartment to somebody. They have several people try out for the apartment, but neither are any good candidates. They're crazy people.
This is also the first time that we see one of the school sweaters, University of Michigan.
Mr. Rush wears a different sweater in every episode from a different university. Sometimes there's no sweater, but a lot of the times there's maybe even 2 or more. And what was the first one? University of Michigan.
University of Michigan. It's weird because in the Ted Knight show, which is the 6th season of Too Close for Comfort, he no longer wore the university sweaters. He went to city. He had said San Francisco or Dallas or something on his shirt. Something to that effect.
I read that people were sending in sweaters for him to wear on the show at some point.
That's interesting. So that's probably where a good chunk of them came from.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. Also, we also learned that Mr. Rush is 51, and he questions his career as a comic book artist.
Oh yeah, he draws this comic book or comic strip, or possibly both, called Cosmic Cow. Nowadays, there probably would be a real tie-in, but I don't think there was ever any such thing in real life.
Like a DC comic of Cosmic Cow?
Yeah.
That would have been awesome.
Yeah, I don't think that ever happened.
Would you have bought that comic?
Probably.
Yeah, I would have.
He usually draws the strip with the Cosmic Cow puppet on his hand. And now I have no idea how you can draw with a puppet on your hand, but I guess I'm just reading into it too much.
Well, clearly he's just scribbling on the page.
Yeah, sometimes you can see the page and he's just making a big giant scribble.
We also learned that he doesn't want any more kids.
But spoiler alert, who knows what could happen by the end of the season.
So that's the end of Act 1.
Yeah.
So Act 2 opens up. He's downstairs waiting for some tenants, prospective tenants, to come rent the apartment. And he discovers a size 13 shoes that are clearly not size 13 triple E. That's where we get our first couch gag. First time Rush falls over the couch.
That's true, yeah, the very first couch flip.
Oh, he totally doesn't know how to sit on that couch.
And he's the only one who can't balance on that couch for some reason.
He's always looking for that back support, and there is none. So the prostitute / masseuse comes over, and he's not about to rent the place to her. Would you rent the place to her?
I mean, I don't see what his issue is with that, but I guess he thought it was just a prostitute moving in, so.
That's not good for his girls to be that kind of influence, right? That he doesn't want to see, or maybe them get involved in such a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have the guy from Arabia, or whatever, the excuse to get rid of the prostitute, who's a body painter. So what do you think about the body painter?
Oh, that guy was pretty creepy, actually. Yeah, I think they made the right choice. What a different program that would have been.
If he had moved in downstairs,
Mm-hmm.
then Sarah would have gotten involved in it. That's just a natural thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what happens next? What do you got? Oh, that's right. I'm giving the play-by-play, and you're just giving the highlights. All right, so we got the first couch gag, the masseuse, the prostitute, and the body painter, and then he also, we get our first chair gag. The first time he falls off that weird chair. He's the only one who can't sit on this furniture.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell's wrong with him? Because he's from the old school where furniture was furniture.
Yeah.
There was back support. If it looked like it had back support, it had back support. Oh, so
They decided to just go ahead and rent it to their daughters after all, because they realized that they would like their free space.
And Muriel tells him he can turn the girls' room into a studio.
Yeah.
And that's the last time we ever heard about that room ever again. Ever. When his mother moved in, remember this? When Muriel's mother moves in later on, she has the attic renovated to the 3rd level. There's a whole nother level up there. And that's where she moved in.
Well, yeah.
But this room was never spoken of again. He never did any of his work in there.
He never moves in there, but that room is spoken of many times. It is to become the nursery for Andrew, but before then it becomes April's room.
Is that where April is sleeping?
Yeah. See, there's always somebody coming in, they can never do what they want with it. But this is all to come, many episodes down the line.
So that's the end of Act 2. And then we open up Act 3.
They're trying to get some sleep again. It's like 2:30 in the morning, right?
No, Sarah's on the phone with Roger's boyfriend.
Oh, there's that part.
with Jackie's boyfriend, Roger.
Yeah, another one-sided phone conversation.
While Jackie's doing all the work and moving all the furniture, Sarah's on the couch talking to Jackie's boyfriend for like a half hour. 45 minutes, I'm not sure. I didn't write that down.
There's also mentions in the episode about how Muriel is a photographer. That's brought up, I think, in the beginning of the episode. And also there's a mention that she used to play in the band as well.
That's right.
And that's where we also get one of several pot jokes in this episode. So we got transvestites and pot jokes in 1980 on ABC television.
We also learned that Muriel used to go with the drummer
In the band,
in
that's
the
right.
band, and apparently smoked. That's where she smoked pot.
Yeah, it's because he smells something, and she tells him it's incense that they're using just to cover the pot, which makes Henry flip out.
So he's all crazy.
And then some strange couple wanders into the Rush's bedroom during this party that the girls are throwing downstairs. And
Like a couple hippies or some shit.
Yeah.
He's got like a leather hat on. Looks like he's like he bought that outfit from Venus Flytrap or something.
during that sequence, you can hear this goofy party song played here for the first time. I think it's only played one more time on a future episode where the girls are having a fight, where Sarah puts on some vinyl, and it happens to be this goofy party song. I noticed that just now the second time we were watching it. Also, the intro to this show changes quite a bit. This time we had what I'm calling the original intro, I guess. What else would you call it? You get to see the bridge first, you get to see the trolley,
Cable
car, and then it's always the same shot of Henry with the Cosmic Cow puppet kissing him.
And we get Nancy Dussault.
Yeah, hers is with that magazine this time.
She's looking
right?
at the magazine.
But that gives you a clue in about the photography thing.
Yeah.
And then it's the shot of Jackie on the telephone. They use that one a lot. And then it's Sarah sitting down is her shot. And that's from this episode. Now in the end credits, that freeze frame of them in the kitchen comes from this episode as well. That's during the discussion of, well, maybe we should let the girls rent it out after all.
Isn't the Ted Knight thing from this episode too?
Oh, that's just a scene that's only in the intro.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Now, we do get our first Cosmic Cow appearance in this episode. He's at the drawing board. He's even talking to Cosmic Cow at one point. Something that happens a few more times throughout the series. And also he mentions that he is a comic book artist during the interviews in the apartment for the potential tenants. What else? The character Monroe is absent from this episode. He still has not been introduced. He will show up in a few episodes and pretty much solidify what the show really is about. But this is one of the rare Monroe-less episodes. Also, we still have no interloper yet. Nobody's showing up who's completely changing the course of the program. Showing up, I'm here to stay, and the show's about me now. Wait a minute, I thought the show was about us. No, we're still in that early first season. It's pure. It's basically about, I guess I can't control my daughters forever. I've got to let them go out into the world.
You're totally right. It says, I have a note right here that says he's wearing a blue and red shirt. No, he's wearing a shirt with a blue sweater when he's drawing that Cosmic Cow.
Oh, yeah.
So he's not wearing the Michigan State shirt that he was wearing.
Usually he wears these sweaters while he's working.
It's called
I've noticed.
sweaters. Yes,
Yeah.
sweaters.
Henry did not stammer in this episode. Ted Knight gives us his classic stammers a lot of the time. He also gives us pointing at people in just the unique way that he likes to point. I counted 4 pointing incidents in this episode.
That's a lot of pointing.
What else here did I have in it? Oh, and also occasionally he will use his hair for comedic effect, which I've called disheveled Henry hair. We get this in the very beginning of the episode when the alarm clock won't shut off. It also happens when he falls out of that chair he can't balance in. One of the few comedic actors that uses their hair as a prop, I've noticed. A lot of the later established music cues are absent from this episode. I mean, we still have the theme song, of course, and the little intro spot. I think the 3-note transitions in this one for the first time. If you don't know what I'm talking about, tune into Antenna TV. You can watch this show. It's on 6 days a week right now, every day except Sundays. You can play along yourself and discover all the weird going-ons in this program. View it through our eyes, you might see it in a whole new way. Let's see. What else happens in this episode? I think that almost covers everything. I'm going to give this one, out of grades from 1 to 5, I'm going to give it a 4. I think it was slightly above average. It was pretty funny in parts. Very good for a first episode of a series. Usually we'll end up with these kind of very special episodes as the series goes on. This one didn't really have one of those type of endings. We just ended up with the SWAT team instead. So.
SWAT team is outside. He's barricaded himself into his bedroom. People are just wandering around having sex in the house. Who knows what's going on in his living room or in his kitchen or in his attic or in his bathroom. We have no idea. Or in the girl's old room.
All of these rooms that we'll never see because there's no budget to show them. So I guess in conclusion, I'll go back to the early thing you brought up about the only way to see this show right now is on Antenna TV. As far as DVD goes, only season 1 and 2 have been put out. They're both out of print and they go for a lot of money on Amazon. Last time I checked, you couldn't even get season 1, and season 2 was going for about $130.
Wow.
Season 1 is still the syndicated versions that have a couple minutes removed for commercials. Season 2 are the uncut ones and have commentary on them. So, you never know, we might come across some of those, but I'm hoping that among other things, this podcast helps whoever owns the rights to this show to put out a complete uncut version of the series on DVD, because there's a market for it. Definitely, I think. And we're going to help make that market if we have anything to say about it. So, anything else to add to this one?
Only it's the first of many.
Yeah.
Mr. Rush is, we got a long way to go.
Yeah, we'll be back next time when Sarah wants to spend the weekend at Lake Tahoe.
Ooh. Mr. Rush finds something in her drawers.